A very good evening. You're watching Eswatini TV News Bulletin at 8, read to you by myself, Notile Sitole. But first, let's have a look at tonight's headlines. Their Majesties have given their blessing that this year's official opening of Parliament be held virtually. The Minister of Housing and Urban Development has instituted a commission of inquiry which will investigate irregularities that allegedly transpired during the declaration of Mkhosi Township. The Minister of Health has announced that Eswatini will receive a team of medical experts from the United Kingdom who are coming to assist in the fight against COVID-19. And now, our bulletin in detail. Their Majesties have given their blessing that this year's official opening of Parliament be held virtually. This was announced by Parliament's clerk at table, Benedict Xaba, who also gave an assurance that preparations for this big event are already underway.
Preparation for Parliament virtual opening started on Monday and it will proceed even on Wednesday. Clerk to Parliament Benedict Xaba says the virtual opening of Parliament is in line with the country's COVID-19 regulations that bans gatherings of any kind.
Today we were meeting all stakeholders to brief them on the logistics now and the role on which each stakeholder is going to play during the opening of Parliament and during the rehearsals for the opening. What we emphasized mainly is that people who will be coming or participating, they need to go and test and come with negative results. Then you can participate and be in certain section. So we're encouraging stakeholders to go and test, and also to mention that the Minister of Health will be available to be doing testing even during the opening, the official opening now of Parliament. So people who are going to attend, it's the honorable members, senators, they will need to go the screening, then they can come in with the negative results, and then they can be come to the chamber. So this is something very new since we have not done it before. So it needs a lot of planning and a lot of logistics. But we strongly believe that we are going to come up with a very, very good product. So this coming Wednesday, we shall be starting the official rehearsals at 2 p.m. here in Parliament, where we shall be then rehearsing how the Parliament will be open, the state opening will be happening virtually. So that's the main and see what activities can be done. But I can say that other things will fall off because they won't be there. For example, the banquet after the state opening, it won't be there, and other activities.
Normally, Parliament openings attended by their Majesties, the royal family, members of Parliament with their spouses, as well as the nation at large. Aba says people will follow Parliament opening online. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla, Parliament.
The Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Prince Simelane, has instituted a commission of inquiry to investigate any irregularities that allegedly transpired during the declaration of Mkhosi Township in Manzini. The minister announced the initiation of an investigation in this matter in a press statement today.
Following a recommendation made by the House of Assembly Select Committee on the Mkhosi Township petition, the Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Prince Simelane, has since commissioned a commission of inquiry to investigate any irregularities that allegedly transpired during the declaration of this township. In a press statement issued by the Ministry's Communications Officer, Lungelo Ngambule, the Minister further announced that the Commission will further investigate any corrupt or unlawful practices that contributed adversely to the people who were initially earmarked for this project, which could have resulted in unfair and unlawful deprivation of the affected people's property ownership and money paid to the Manzini Municipal Council in relation to owning this property. The Commission's members include Zonke Makakula, who is chairperson, Secretary Nhlanhla Ngonyane, and William Ndlela, who will be a member. The Commission of Inquiry is expected to submit its final report to the Minister on the 26th of February. The Minister encourages all affected stakeholders to cooperate with this Commission for the successful and timely completion of this exercise. For Eswatini TV News, Hlengiwe Ndlovu with Fortune Dlangamandla in Babane.
The Minister of Health, Lizzie Nkosi, has announced that through the World Health Organization's assistance, the Ministry of Health will be receiving a team of medical experts from the United Kingdom who are coming to provide specialized health care to COVID-19 patients undergoing treatment in different health facilities countrywide. The Minister gave this update in a press statement.
The Minister of Health has extended her appreciation to the United Kingdom government for rapidly responding to Eswatini's request by deploying a team of experts through the UK Emergency Medical Team program. The team is made up of 11 experts who include critical care doctors, critical care infection prevention and control nurses, biomedical engineer, logistician and risk communications and community engagement advisor. The minister says they feel honored and privileged to benefit from this support provided by the government and the people of the United Kingdom through the UK Emergency Medical Team. She says from the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, the UK EMT has been supporting global responses through the deployment of specialist staff to the Ministry of Health, WHO Secretariat, WHO country offices, as well as other UN agencies. These teams will be deployed in the bigger hospitals that are taking care of moderate and severely ill COVID-19 patients, including those on oxygen and those on ventilators. She says the teams will be hands-on, working in close relationship with national health counterparts in the treatment facilities, providing on-the-job training and mentoring on effective case management and guidance for high-quality and technically sound context-specific national COVID-19 response activities. The minister says the teams will also support the Ministry of Health to assist and ensure the critical case management equipment is functional and are efficiently deployed for the COVID-19 response. The minister says she appreciates the support from the WHO. Reporting, I'm Lungile Makakula in Babane.
The Eswatini Energy Regulatory Authority, ESERA, has announced a 3% electricity tariff hike for domestic users. The hike in electricity tariffs for domestic users was announced by ESERA's Chief Executive Officer, Vusmuzi Mkhumane, in a press briefing held today. Mkhumane says the electricity tariff increase will come into effect in April this year.
In the tariff review application made by Eswatini Electricity Company to Eswatini Energy Regulatory Authority last year, EEC stated that the tariff increase was going to be for the next 2 financial years from 2021 to 2023. 10% increase was for domestic customers, while 6.8% and 7.22% was for small commercial and time-of-use customers respectively. EEC said the increase was based on revenue requirement of 2.55 billion emalangeni from 2021 to 2022 and 2.93 billion emalangeni on 2022 to 2023. ESERA Chief Executive Officer Vusmuzi Mkhumane elaborated on the decision taken by the authority and what influenced it.
A tariff decrease of 1.33% for 2021-22 and a tariff decrease of 1.27% for 22-23. These adjustments excludes any taxes and levies enacted and or substantially enacted as at the date of approval. In coming up with the decision to adjust the current tariff levels, the following parameters were considered. A rate of return of 7.28% was approved by the authority, and a projected tariff increase was considered of 10.16% and 15% from ESCOM for the years 2021-22 and 2022-23. A net over recovery of 202 million for the financial year 2019-2020 to be spread equally over the 2021-22 and 2022-23 respectively.
On key findings and recommendations, ESERA says it strives to avail EEC's future filings on time to give stakeholders sufficient time to make informed inputs. ESERA also adds that it will explore the possibility of having government representative in each public consultation meeting to enable government to have first-hand information on public issues or views. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla with Muzi Mkonta Mbabane.
The Eswatini Electricity Company has welcomed the decision made by the Eswatini Energy Regulatory Authority to decrease Eswatini's average electricity tariff while increasing the domestic tariffs by 3%. EEC spokesperson Kaya Mavuso says the company will also sit down to analyze the decision made by ESERA.
Eswatini Regulatory Authority says during public consultations, stakeholders in almost all the areas visited, they were concerned regarding the significance of their contribution in the tariff review process. ESERA says quite a number of consumers felt that the consultation process was a mere informality and has no bearing in the tariff adjustment decision. Eswatini Electricity Company spokesperson Kaya Mavuso says the company was yet to deliberate the decision by the authority.
We really appreciate the Energy Regulatory Authority for issuing out its judgment in relation to the request that EEC has made on the tariff increase. As an organization, we just heard of the tariff award. We are yet to digest and dissect all the requirements that are there before we can actually indicate whether it is suitable for the organization or not. But we do really appreciate the nation for contributing towards the tariff application process and really appreciate the Energy Regulatory Authority for eventually coming to a conclusion on the matter.
ESERA says the issue of connection charges dominated the discussion in almost all the regions. ESERA says there were allegations raised on the issue. Some customers felt that the connecting to the grid was business development for EEC and hence the customer shall not foot the bill as EEC will recover the capital investment over time through tariffs. The public alleged that both connection charges were high and bear no relationship to the cost of the connection asset, citing cases in which a person brings electricity to his home and when making second connection paying the same cost despite the connection point is now in the yard. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla Mbabane.
There are now 15 operational licensed internet service providers in the country, following the licensing of 4 entities by the Eswatini Communications Commission. The Commission's Chief Executive Officer, Mvilawempi Dlamini, has urged the companies to take their services to remote areas for all the people of Eswatini to enjoy an excellent internet connection.
The internet service providers that were awarded with the licenses are Wonderport Networks, Chagaza Holdings, AfriMetro Investment, and Prosperity Skyless Solutions. The Commission is mandated by the Electronic Communications Act to grant any authorization for the carrying out of any matter within the remit of the Commission. Chief Executive Officer Mvilawempi Dlamini says the licensing of these 4 will take the number to a total of 16 internet service providers in the country.
This kind of license category is relatively competitive as we already have 11 operational and duly licensed internet service providers. The licensing of these 4 will take the number to a total of 15 ISPs in the kingdom. The Commission has a duty under universal access and service to ensure that electronic communication services are available across the country. We urge licensees not to focus only on the urban areas, but also peri-urban parts of the country and rural areas. We also urge you to take your services to the remote and underserved areas for all Emaswati to enjoy these services. The services you are to provide are not the purview of urban dwellers, but be enjoyed by all.
The CEO has challenged the entities to be innovative and create services tailor-made for the different sectors of society, including women and children and people living with disabilities. Reporting, I'm Lungilele Makakula with Moatube in Mbabane.
The World Health Organization in Eswatini urges members of the public to refrain from using 2 face masks at the same time, as this is not a confirmed precaution in preventing the spread of COVID-19.
WHO Health Promotion Officer Dr. Kevin Makatsange says It has come to their attention that people have been misled on the usage of face masks, such that some have started putting on 2 face masks with the belief that they are safe from contracting COVID-19. He says WHO does not recommend this and urges members of the public to refrain from doing so.
There are a lot of other factors that actually makes the risk of for COVID higher. So we say do it all. Whilst you're wearing the mask, even if you wear 10 masks, still you have to do all the other things. The mask itself will not protect you. And I think we've been saying that the mask doesn't protect you as an individual. It protects the person next door. If I've got COVID and then I wear a mask, I protect the person because it prevents my droplets from going to the other person. So a mask doesn't protect me, it protects the person the next person.
Dr. Kevin says wearing more than one mask is not an assurance that one is safe from being infected with the virus. Therefore, he urges members of the public to take all precautionary measures. Reporting, I'm Lungilile Makakula in Babane.
Eswatini's TV License Consortium Project Manager Mordecai Donga says the number of people who renewed their licenses in 2020 increased by over 6,000 compared to the previous year, while those that made new licenses were over 2,000. He says over 500 people were prosecuted in 2020 compared to the 200 defaulters prosecuted in 2019.
Project Manager Mordecai Donga says the TV License Office has not been spared by the pandemic in the sense that payments are not coming through as expected, mainly because some people lost their jobs. However, the office came up with strategies to ensure that people continue to comply by meeting them halfway. He says, be that as it may, they saw a high number of people paying compared to the previous year, which means more revenue was generated in 2020.
We received new license renewals that were more than 2008. That were 2008 more than those that we had in 2019. So for us, having 2,000 more people coming on board, it means a lot, and it means that our office is working. And now, in as far as license renewals are concerned, we had 6,225 more license renewals than we had in the previous year of 2019. And what does that say to us? It means that it shows to us that our efforts are not going or are not to note as people are coming forward, to renew their television devices.
Donga says the most used pay point utilized by members of the public is the post office, followed by MTN Momo. He urges the Maswati to make their payments because there will be no leniency or extensions. He says those that lost their jobs should contact the office and make payment arrangements. Donga says because of COVID-19, they ceased from conducting physical inspections, but instead they do it technologically using their data. He says there will be more prosecutions this year compared to any other year. Reporting, I'm Lungilile Makakula with Mbangwatube in Babane.
We'll now have a look at news-making international headlines. The first shipment of coronavirus vaccines has arrived in neighboring South Africa this afternoon. President Cyril Ramaphosa received the first batch of 1 million doses of Oxford AstraZeneca vaccines manufactured by the Serum Institute of India. The vaccines arrived at Johannesburg's OR Tambo International Airport this afternoon. Another 500,000 doses of the same vaccine are expected later this month. South African media reports that the jabs will be administered to some 1.2 million health workers, given priority in the first phase of vaccination. Vaccinations will be administered in around 2 weeks after vaccines go through quarantine, regulatory and quality control procedures. This is a report according to South African media. With almost 1.5 million detected infections and more 44,000 fatalities, South Africa has the highest number of cases and deaths in Africa. A
very good evening once again. You're still watching Eswatini TV News at 8. Now we'll have a look at our sports news. Executive Committee member of the Eswatini Chess Association, Qiniso Mathebula, says the association is currently engaged in a process of starting an online competition for local clubs. He says the online initiative is aimed at keeping players active all the time, even in times of the strengthened partial lockdown in the country.
With sports in the country still suspended and still not sure when they will be allowed to be active again, sports associations in the country are faced with the challenge to find innovative ways of making sure that their athletes stay in touch with their respective sporting courts, more especially those sporting courts that are not so popular yet. The Chess Association had started with their activities when they were suddenly suspended, and it's now looking at launching a local online tournament. Qiniso Mathebula elaborates on their plans.
We are in the process of organizing an online chess league which is scheduled to start between the end of February and early March. We are expectant that all the clubs in the country will join. We have also opened the registration for clubs which started on the 20th of January and closes on the 20th of February. We are hopeful that Maswati will join and will keep playing and keep entertained. The challenges when it comes to resources, as we now need to adjust to this hybrid chess that has been introduced by FIDE, which is the online chess mother body. But we are also confident that sponsors and people in the country will pump their resources towards chess and make sure that our players are active and they keep playing and they keep exercising their mind.
Mathebula says they want to keep their players active at all time and they might finish even their league games online. He concluded by encouraging all their athletes to follow all the precautions put in place by the government. Reporting for Eswatini TV Sports News, I am Patizom CV. Babane.
That's all for now. Before we conclude, let's have a relook at tonight's headlines.
Their Majesties have given their blessing that this year's official opening of Parliament be held virtually. The Minister of Housing and Urban Development has instituted a commission of inquiry which will investigate irregularities that allegedly transpired during the declaration of Mkhosi Township. The Minister of Health has announced that Eswatini will receive a team of medical experts from the United Kingdom who are coming to assist in the fight against COVID-19.
And with that, we sum up our bulletin for the evening. Up next is the weather update from us here at Eswatini TV. Thank you for watching. Good night.